The air was thick with dust and cruelty. As the crowd gathered in the small town square, the kind of gathering that carried the stench of desperation and greed, the wooden platform creaked beneath the weight of the girls being paraded like livestock, their wrists bound, their eyes hollow with fear. The auctioneer's voice rang out sharp, slicing through the murmurs of men who had come not to buy hope, but to buy ownership. "Next up," he bellowed, yanking a trembling young woman forward by the arm. She stumbled into the harsh sunlight, her face hidden behind tangled hair. But even through her exhaustion, something in her posture set her apart. Her name was Clara. She had been stolen, dragged here from the ranch where she once dreamed of freedom, and now she stood like cattle before the highest bidder. The men in the crowd sneered, shouting numbers with the same casualness as one would bid on a mule. Clara's chest tightened with shame, but somewhere deep inside, she clung to a fragile spark that refused to die. In the back of the crowd, a man in a worn-out hat shifted in his saddle. His name was Caleb Walker, a cowboy known more for his silence than his words. He had scars on his hands from years of working the land, and scars in his heart from a past he rarely spoke of. But as his steel-blue eyes locked on Clara, something stirred inside him, something protective, fierce, unexplainable. She wasn't just another soul on the auction block. She was someone who didn't belong in chains. The bidding began. Voices rose. Men tossed around amounts as if she were no more than an animal to be branded. Caleb clenched his jaw. He'd worked his ranch day and night, saving every coin for equipment, for feed, for survival. But as he watched Clara's trembling hands and the cruel tug of the auctioneer's grip, he realized something. No amount of cattle, no stretch of land, no pile of coins was worth more than her freedom. The auctioneer laughed as the numbers climbed, pointing at one man who shouted louder than the rest. "Going once, going twice." And that was when Caleb's deep, steady voice cut through the chaos. "All of it," he said. The crowd went silent, heads turning toward the cowboy who rarely spoke, but always meant what he said. The auctioneer frowned. "All of what, stranger?" Caleb swung his saddlebag forward, heavy with coins, notes, and the hard-earned savings of years. "Every dime I own. Every cent. She's worth it." The crowd murmured in disbelief. Some jeered. Some scoffed. But the auctioneer's greed gleamed in his eyes, and with a wide grin he slammed his hammer down. "Sold." To the cowboy with nothing left but his hat and his horse. Clara was shoved off the block toward him, her chains rattling. Caleb dismounted, towering over the sneering guards, and without hesitation, he pulled a knife from his boot and cut the ropes from her wrists. The crowd gasped. No one had ever seen a buyer set one free. Not in this place, not in this cruel system. Clara looked up at him, her eyes wide, confusion and relief mixing like storm clouds breaking into sunlight. "Why?" she whispered, her voice cracking. Caleb tipped his hat low, his voice calm but firm. "Because you're not cattle. You're not property. You're free now. Let's go home." He lifted her gently onto his horse, his hands careful, respectful, unlike any she had felt in so long. As they rode away, the crowd stared in silence, some too ashamed to speak, some too hardened to care, and a few perhaps secretly inspired. Clara's heart pounded with disbelief, with gratitude, with a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, her life wasn't over after all. The road was long, and Caleb had nothing left but his ranch and his determination. But in that moment, nothing else mattered. He hadn't just bought her freedom. He had given her back her dignity, her humanity, and the chance to believe again. The sun dipped low on the horizon as they rode into the distance. Two souls broken in different ways but bound by a new beginning. Clara glanced at the man who had risked everything for her, wondering what kind of strength it took to make such a sacrifice. Caleb didn't look at her. His eyes stayed on the horizon, but his words drifted back softly, almost like a promise. "Sometimes," he said, "the only thing worth losing everything for is someone else's freedom." And with those words, the chains that once bound her seemed to fall away for good. Friends, if this story stirred something in you, if you felt the weight of Clara's fear and the power of Caleb's sacrifice, then don't let it stop here. There are more stories waiting, stories of courage, of love, of hope that refuses to die. Subscribe to the channel, because every tale we share is a reminder that even in the darkest places, there are people willing to give everything to bring back the light. Don't miss what's coming next. Join the journey. And let's keep these stories alive together.